Oh yeah, when you live in a room in mom and dad's house and your only reason for living is being behind a computer and arguing back and forth constantly. Your whole reason for living is arguing back and forth with people over your sensationalized activism that you're so into, and a lot of cases also being a simp and whatnot. That's when you need to get off the drugs and start living into the real world. Alright, what's up, yins guys? Time for another video. Something else here to make fun of here for you too. And I don't know if this is an outdated concept. You still hear about it occasionally, but not as often as depending on where you're at, not as often, but it makes me laugh. The person on social media that declares themselves a keyboard warrior, and yeah, it makes you you almost want to be like a smart ass and take your spare computer keyboard from your desktop computer, right, and duct tape it to a stick, and then like be a smart ass and make, oh, a keyboard warrior, here's my, so it looks like a battle axe. Take a keyboard, duct tape it to a stick, and act like you're gonna swing it. I'm a keyboard warrior. I don't know, it sounds like that. I'm just being silly, but yeah, I remember people putting up memes making fun of the keyboard warrior, different looks that they have. But yeah, the keyboard warrior, whatever the fuck they call them now. But anyway, back when they were using the term a little more often, and you've seen it more often, to me and a lot of people, speaking for myself, yeah, when you hear the word keyboard warrior, you're sarcastically thinking in your head and like laughing and also saying, oh yeah, keyboard warrior. In other words, I'm a Mr. or Mrs. Late 20s pushing 30, well, sometimes younger, but they eventually end up late 20s pushing 30. Still live in mom and dad's house. Have my computer. If you're not using a smartphone, some of them even, because it's a keyboard warrior, you're obviously still using a laptop, your desktop computer, and you have your office and your headquarters in your little room in mom and dad's house. Some of them start out as young kids, teenagers, then you become 20s pushing 30, still in mom and dad's house. And a lot of them, I'm not saying all of them, do this shit to a point where they're introverted. They all pretend to be activists, and I say a lot of them, they do it so much that they're introverted and everything because they're so busy being a keyboard warrior. They'll even act like that they're actually out there in the world being activists, and some of them might even just Photoshop a picture of themselves, like in a picture that they steal off the internet, to act like that they were in this thing with everybody, cars being smashed, and everything else, and then and always riding the coattails, sucking up to, kissing the ass of, and slobbering over every so-called try not to laugh, sucking up to every social media influencer whom a lot of these influencers lie their asses off, and some of them get called out for it eventually, but that some of them aspire to be their wannabe social media influencers. They call themselves keyboard warriors, but still live with mom and dad. They kiss the ass of all these influencers and even celebrities who are activists, and a lot of them are introverted. They're so busy doing this shit, they're introverted to a point where they don't interact or socialize with any real activists or any real people. Matter of fact, if they think being a keyboard warrior is really brave and yeah, really out there, and they're brave. It's like it's really brave and badass, but that if they had a confrontation in a verbal confrontation with any real people, they run away and cry, or if they don't run away and cry, have a meltdown and start yelling. They won't have a what you call a intelligent argument. When you argue with them and say, yeah, about, or what about this, or you say you debunk anything, they, instead of answering a question before you even get the question halfway out, they'll yell over top of you and keep saying repetitive crap, like the same shit that kids in school did when we were in first and second grade. And back when we were in school, you had kids up in the high school age and well, you got college age kids, because the activists are like actually all in colleges now too. That age, college age, they do the same fucking thing. As a matter of fact, grown ass people on damn TV do the same fucking shit, on talk shows. But I'm getting a little off the subject, but it relates because that's their, if they were in any part of the real world, that's their personality. But I'm trying to say anyway to cut the crap and cut the rambling short there. If they had any actual interactions with people, which are very few, because they feel more like a badass behind a computer, but they're keyboard warriorness or keyboard warrior pretend world they're in, their little their make-believe world they're in, they're so preoccupied with it that they get themselves really introverted. Mom and dad's house, and not only that, their only friends that they physically interact, if they interact with anybody at all their friends, especially when they're still living in their parents' house in the 20s, drinking age. If they have any actual friends that they are friends with, they're all teenagers in which they illegally furnish alcohol to. They're known for illegally furnishing alcohol to their teenage friends, who are their only friends because they provide alcohol and maybe even a bag of weed now and then and smoke it together or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Which was the same bullshit that went on before any social media came into existence on any computer or whatever you had. Without keyboard warriors, before keyboard warriors ever came into existence, you had the behavior of people that didn't have no real friends. They got to be drinking aged, immature know-it-alls, narcissistic know-it-alls, and their only friends, the only way to make friends was make friends with teenagers who weren't drinking age yet and provide them beer, and that's their only friends, and it's the only reason anybody hangs with them. I mean, yeah, it's all of that went on before social media, but that's their identity if they interact with anybody at all. And then what happens when they get older or whatever, they their entire reason, activism is their entire reason for living. While they're being a keyboard warrior in a little room in their parents' house, they get a little older and older and doing the same shit, and time kind of creeps up on them. You know what I mean? That when something like that becomes your only reason for living, and you get older, and every single type of activism or whatever the hell when it gets sensationalized, it burns out and dies out for a while before it comes back in another form. But in the meantime, when the sensationalism dies out, they're left with nothing and their life sucks. So they're desperately try to keep some kind of activism of theirs alive to stay relevant, whether it's racism, whether it's transphobia, homophobia, contempt, and pushing and yeah, pushing for and egging on the and contributing to their contempt for every single person who's straight, white, and and anybody who is black that doesn't follow their narrative. Anybody who happens to be black and decides to go a different way politically and not go for the victim status, and who doesn't want the race baiters and activists telling them what to do. They get to attack them too. You know what I mean? Keep themselves busy and then hope the sensationalized their whole reason for living is keeping the sensationalized bullshit alive, because then they'll go back to being an ordinary loser with nothing to do again. You know what I mean? And when that all runs out and they got nothing to do, I guess they turn into addicts and alcoholics in mom and dad's house, and mom and dad get sick and tired of them or whatever the hell, and whatever happens in the future just happens, whatever the hell, you know what I mean? And yeah, I pause once again there too, because I got a lot of laughter going on in my head too, you know. But yeah, keyboard warrior, person with no life. Yeah, some of them, if you're a dude, you're a simp and you're trying to impress all the female activists out there that are also playing the same make-believe game. Yeah, I mean, yeah, can talk about it all day, ramble about it all day. There's a few other things you can dig up in articles and stuff you've seen about them and all that, but you don't got all day, you know what I mean? I want to make a long-ass video about it, but might as well say something to make fun of it, you know what I mean? You know?